What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of Sit Down Saturday, and today we are talking about the versus between MMC Sphinx and Fanstoys Phantasm. And I know a lot of people want this compared with the Transform element, but believe what I say when I tell you, we're going to spend a lengthy bit of this conversation at the end of the versus discussing what would have gone down between the two. I don't have the Transform element. I would never get the Transform element. That's my personal choice. Respect my opinion. It's me. I can do what I want with my money. But we talk about how it would have probably gone down when comparing the kind of final results of both tests. So for those that are more interested in that discussion, it is in this video at the end. Before we get into that though, I got a little bit of housekeeping to do. One, I have one more Megatron canvas left. It is a Megatron with the Autobot symbol. I've got nothing but positive feedback from these. Everybody's like, the pictures don't do it justice, etc., etc. I have one left. And when these are gone, they're gone. I'm never doing these again on canvas. If you are interested, email bobbyskullface@gmail.com. First come, first serve, and I will get it out to you at the top of the week. Secondly, the Hasbro has issues. A lot of people with a lot of opinions there in the comments. But one that I kept seeing over and over again was regarding G.I. Joe Classified, and that it was part of the problem too because of the exclusives. But I'm not sure I agree. And I think time will tell that what has been deemed an exclusive will become readily available. Distribution could be an issue, and that's a fair criticism. However, Amazon and BBTS have had most of these regularly available for pre-order since they moved past the Target exclusivity. Like, that's a net positive. That's something that was wrong, and they really course-corrected it. So I'm not sure we see it the same way in that regard. Secondly, the Phantasm video, I forgot to put the Nick the Toy Guy's info in the description. It's in like every other Fanstoys video description, but that's neither here nor there. I have fixed it. It's there now. And with that, I think we can get started. Sphinx is one of my all-time favorite third-party pieces. I love that it still hangs in there. This is a tricky one because of aesthetics, right? One is going for the Ocular Max aesthetic and one is going for the G1 aesthetic, and I have to make sacrifices here and there in how I look at these and judge these. But I try to be as fair as possible. Let's go ahead and get started, and you know where we start. Accessory-wise, MMC comes with a couple alternate heads. Fanstoys comes with one alternate head, but two alternate faces. But MMC comes with the driver. That ties them out. They both come with the rocket launcher on their shoulder. They both come with the rifle, but MMC comes with the parachute. The first release did anyway, which is the only one I can compare. Be fair, because it's what I have, which gives MMC the lead. And accessories, neither one of them have a gimmick. Build and materials, they both have good plastics. They both use die cast. They both are built extremely well. That will tie them out for build and materials. Hardware-wise, Fanstoys takes it. It has ratchets in the knees, as well as the waist swivel, which isn't needed, but it does have it. If it only had it in the waist swivel, I might tie them out, but because it has it in the knees, and the MMC has none, they get the point. Moving on to sculpt and paint. Fanstoys takes the paint because it has more of it, but the MMC is painted extremely well where it is painted. So they're going to take the paint across the board. We'll just get that out of the way while we're looking at the full frontal view, so to speak. But looking at them from the front, this is the thing about this. I think the MMC looks better. It doesn't look more cartoon accurate, it just looks better. And since Fanstoys is going to take the category for cartoon accuracy, spoilers, I'm giving MMC the point here for full frontal because I think it looks better. But Fanstoys is going to take it later on in the accuracy category, which kind of makes both points null and void. But that's the only way I can kind of consider being really fair about it. When it comes to the head sculpt, I think MMC has a better looking head sculpt. I think more character comes through, and I think that the Fanstoys one looks lifeless. It just looks so like paint by numbers to me. There's no life to it. Paint-wise, Fanstoys takes it. From the side, I think that there's really minute difference in just the sculpt work. So I'm going to give it to MMC overall. Tie them from the side, but MMC takes the front. Once again, for the chest for me, I mean, the Fanstoys is cleaner, sharper, it's painted better, but I think that the MMC one is more interesting. It's more visually interesting to look at. It looks more alive. Once again, I know that that adjective is going to kind of keep coming back and back and back. That's how I feel about this thing kind of aesthetically. So I'm giving it to MMC here. From the side, pretty much the same deal. They're both clean, but I like that the MMC kind of has more stuff going on. I like that you see the tires. I just like it. I think it looks cooler. You know, I really prefer the MMC aesthetically kind of overall. So it makes sense that it's going to win a lot of categories for me in this regard. Now I say all that to say this, the arm is the part where I feel like MMC has always been the weakest. That one little panel that covers up the forearm that you kind of have to sit back in order for it to really kind of cover down on it properly. Like you can't extend the elbow fully. You could probably do it a little bit better than I have it here, but it's still somewhat obnoxious. The white plastic ends up looking a little bit cheaper, etc., etc. This is where I think that the simple approach to the Fanstoys method ends up looking better. From the side, now obviously you can fill out that part of the arm if you prefer it aesthetically. I don't, but it doesn't matter because it takes the point either way. Once again, little things like a lot of the simpleness of the MMC doesn't work when the design itself is more intricate. The arms, especially from the side, are a bit more simple and kind of throw the vibe off for me. I also don't like that hole in the middle of the forearm. There's just a few things that it just doesn't do quite as well, in my opinion. The pelvis is another area where I think Fanstoys takes it. It's simpler, but it's cleaner and it's more cohesive and more put together. The MMC has a bit more sculpted detail, but it looks a bit messier as opposed to consolidated the same way that the chest does. Like the chest and stuff looks interesting and there's a lot of stuff going on, but it looks cohesive and tight. The pelvis looks a bit less so. But from the side, the fact that the Fanstoys one sticks out so far in the front and then kind of has Nasatol in the back, it kind of throws the look of that off. So ultimately, I'm going to tie them out here. Moving on to the legs, I like the MMC better, man. I think it looks more interesting. I think that the kind of engine being used as the knee pad looks more interesting. And even though the Fanstoys is better painted in terms of coverage, the fact that it has all that tight line work with the red, I think it looks better. I like the way that the feet look better. I just think it looks more interesting. And the Fanstoys one, I think, looks very, very plain. Very, very simple, but painted nicely. From the side, I feel like it's less egregious, especially with that tire flipped out. From the side, I'll tie it out because they both are very, very similar. There's a bit more sculpted detail in the upper thighs, so the thighs I'll probably give to MMC, but it doesn't really matter because MMC is going to take it all anyway in regards to legs. So, but to be objective, I think that they're about equal from the side. Now, from the back, I'll give it to Fanstoys. All the kind of stuff going on the backpack, on the MMC, as well as the way that the tires look and stuff, and it's just like the screws, everything, like it's just way more kind of less put together. Way more or less. Well done, Bobby. Idiot. Anyway, you know what I mean. It just looks less put together. So, I mean, MMC takes a lot of categories here, but this is kind of how I feel about it. I think that MMC is a better, more interesting looking thing, just aesthetically. So it takes the head, chest, upper and lower legs, and the kind of full frontal view. The Fanstoys takes the arms, because while it lacks the detail, at least it looks more put together. And the back view, once again, kind of for the same reasons. And then they tie at the pelvis, even though the Fanstoys one protrudes the way it does, if you know what I mean. All right, articulation. So the head is on a ball peg. The ball peg is connected to a hinge. You get all the way up, you get down, you get left, right, you get confused mirage look. The Fanstoys is on a hinge swivel. Up, not as much. Down, not as much. Left and right, no confused dog look. Shoulders, you have a butterfly joint. You have a hinge that gets you all the way up. You have a hinge or a swivel that gets you all the way around. No real significant butterfly joint. A hinge that gets you 90 up and 360 around. Bicep swivel, bicep swivel. Single hinge elbow that gets you the full run. Single hinge elbow that doesn't get you the full run, but I think it does get you the same range. It's just that due to the sculpt of the MMC, it bounces into it a bit earlier. But range-wise, I think it's the same, so I am going to tie them there. Wrist swivel, wrist swivel. Fingers on a base pin knuckle, and the thumb is technically on a swivel. Fingers on a base pin knuckle. Waist swivel with an ab crunch. Waist swivel, some people have been saying that there's an ab crunch. Like, I don't know if I can agree with that. I don't know if I can consider that an ab crunch. Universal joints that get you out to there. Not quite the full Van Damme, but you get the full Monty. Universal joints that get you the full Van Damme, but not quite the full Monty. Thigh swivel, thigh swivel. Double hinge knee that gets you slightly past 90 degrees. Single hinge knee that gets you further past 90 degrees, I think. I had to bring them both in to just... Yeah, I'm gonna say the Fanstoys does it better. No real ankle tilt or toe tilt up. You do get a toe tilt down with an extreme rocker. You get a toe tilt up, no toe tilt down with a limited rocker. And MMC takes it. It has a deeper head articulation. The ab crunch is more defined and significant. The shoulder range is greater. You get more finger movement, although it's not of much use. But you do get it. And you get more ankle movement. The Fanstoys takes the knees, but they tie at the bicep, wrist, hips, because one goes all the way out and one goes all the way forward and back, and thigh swivel, which gives MMC the advantage. Scale-wise, I'm not going to waste too much time with comparisons and such as some, but they're almost
completely identical in their height. So it's too marginal of a difference, even if there is one, which I'm not sure that there is, to give one a clear winner. So I'm tying them out for scale. Ironically, and another weird twist of fate, but it's just the way Fanstoys has been doing business these days, when it comes down to transformation, I'm giving it to Fanstoys. Once again, the upper body of MMC has a couple little bumps in the road that it has to deal with involving the head, the neck flap, all that. Like just some stuff that's not exactly the most user-friendly. Whereas the Fanstoys, for the most part, just kind of move simply and elegantly throughout the whole transformation. So this is something they've been really fine-tuning this year, and this one's no different. And as a result, they take the category here. When it comes to alt mode, once again, this comes down to a subjective choice, but my choice is the MMC. The MMC alt mode just looks more realistic. It looks more functional. It looks more interesting, but that's what it's trying to do. The Fanstoys looks more cartoon accurate, but as a result, it doesn't look as cool. It doesn't look as interesting, and it doesn't look as much like a vehicle. It looks like a cartoon drawing of a vehicle. And since I'm giving them a point for cartoon accuracy anyway, I'm just going to judge the aesthetics of the vehicle. And the aesthetics of the vehicle, in my opinion, are superior with the MMC. Cartoon accuracy, no brainer. Fanstoys takes it all day. It's doing what it's trying to do. The MMC was going after the Studio Ox design, but we can't move the goalpost. The category is for accuracy, and Fanstoys needs to take the win here. In terms of price, the MMC is $100, and the Fanstoys is like $160, $170. So that is what it is. That MMC came out at a time where it was trying to compete with kind of the current masterpiece pricing, and that's why it is that price. But the category is the category. Let's close out. All right, which one do you think looks better?
I think I'm gonna end up going with that one.
And which one do you think feels better?
This one.
All right, thank you. All right, Jana, which one do you think looks better?
This one.
Okay, and which one do you think feels better?
I feel like I usually have the same opinion on these things. That one, like, is heavier and feels better, but this one is joints easier to move.
So which one would you say if you had to choose one?
I guess that one.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Give more flexibility.
All right. Thank you. Could you send Selena down?
Yeah.
Okay. Come on in. Which one do you think looks better?
That one.
This one. And which one do you think feels better?
That one.
That one. Okay, same one. Which one do you think looks better?
62.
26. Oh. She just shrugged. All right.
Oh my god.
Which one do you like the feel of better?
I like that.
You like the feel of this one better? Okay.
Which brings us to our final score, and it's another tie. MMC takes accessories, MMC takes articulation, MMC takes sculpt, in my opinion. It takes alt mode, in my opinion, and it takes price objectively. Fanstoys takes hardware, paint, transformation, presence, and accuracy. So just a different batch, and they tie it gimmicks, build, materials, and scale. It's interesting, the ones that they win versus lose, because they're both fairly subjective wins on both ends. Do you know what I mean? There's only a few very objective wins for either. So it's really, a lot of this comes down to preference. They're two really good figures. But ultimately, it's a final score of 5-5, with Sphinx still hanging in there. One of the best third-party releases, I think, in history. So I'm glad that it's able to kind of hang in there. But I know a lot of you are wondering how it would fare with the transform element. So I pulled up the stats of the transform element versus the MMC. So MMC took accessories there, but Fanstoys would probably have transform element beat. MMC and Fanstoys tied in gimmicks, so theoretically TE doesn't have any either, a tie again. MMC took the build over transform element, but tied with Fanstoys, so that would be another one for Fanstoys over transform element. But they tie in materials across the board. Hardware, MMC tied transform element, but Fanstoys beat MMC, which would give Fanstoys another point over the transform element. Articulation was a tie for MMC versus transform element, but MMC took Fanstoys in articulation, so that would be a point for transform element. I think the sculpt for the two would probably tie out, and the paint would go to Fanstoys. Even though transform element is fully painted, it's not painted as beautifully. Scale, both sets tied. Transformation, MMC and transform element tied, but that's only because they both have different parts that are kind of obnoxious, so I think Fanstoys would take the win there as well. Alt mode, MMC beat both,
So I'm guessing that they would tie between Transform Element and Fanstoys. Transform Element took presence. I'm gonna guess they would tie there. Price, which would be another win for Transform Element, I'm sure. And accuracy, I think they would tie there. So that would be a final score of 5-2 Fanstoys to Transform Element. And that, I believe, is accurate as well. Those two releases are extremely similar, but Fanstoys just does it all a bit better, a bit more refined, and a bit more elegantly.
All right, and I think that that's fair, man. Like, I think that they do different things extremely well, and I don't think that one is necessarily better than the other. I think that some do some things better, and I think that they check certain boxes differently, but, like, it's a hard choice for me with these two. Because, like, the shelf that I have my Sphinx on, like, he shares that shelf with characters that don't quite match the new aesthetic, but as these figures, like, it's just, like, the wave of it, right? It's, like, the way it's going. So, I don't even know what I'm gonna do yet in terms of which figure I'm keeping on my shelf proper, because they're both just really good. They both look great. They just look differently great, if that makes sense. Anyway, I'll be back on Monday. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.